So then we move to the Wartrakk, new data sheet. There are things that I did want to point out because this was one of those things that at first I wasn't super excited about, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, all right, I can make this work, and we can find cool ways to be appreciative of this. So the Wartrakk. Now, GW spilled the beans, right? They had released an initial data sheet that had a support ability on there, which confirmed our theories, the ones we said on this channel as well, of that this would act like a Space Marine ATV where it can attach to a unit of bikers. Now, that is not appearing on the updated data sheet that they put on the website, but just as I pointed out earlier in the video, we don't know if that's going to be added when we get a codex where it's going to be, okay, now you get support and then you could be added to a biker unit. That's sweet. But as it is now, let's talk about that and then kind of, took out the best parts of it. So movement 12, T6, 4 up save, 6 up influence, 7 wounds, 7 leadership. I'm glad it's not worse. And then 3 OC. This is mounted. It is not a vehicle. Very grateful for that, right? Because the big thing I was wondering was what's going to be the distinction here and the difference between this and a buggy, right? Like what? So it's still mounted. Wonderful. A lot of things have anti-vehicle keyword and it gives up secondaries. There's a bunch of different negatives to being a vehicle generally. And from looking at its ranged weapons, I'm not looking at this to like throw a bunch of strats and enhancements on it, right? So you're not going to have to contemplate wasting those kind of buffs on this unit. So as for its range attacks, it has a custom shooter, rapid fire 2, 18 inches, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 5, strength 4, minus 0, 1 damage. Then you have a rocket launcher, 24-inch range, D3 plus 3 attacks, ballistic skill 5 plus, strength 10. Awesome. We're seeing the consistency of all the strength 10 rockets on there. Minus 2, 3 damage. Now, let's point over again to the unit composition where it's showing 1 rocket launcher. Now, that's a little bit of an annoyance that we're going to talk about more when we elaborate on more of these things in the next slides. But we're showing that there's not a difference, at least for our model, on how we can determine why this would be different volume of shots, but other than knowing off the top of your head that the data sheet does that, right? It's showing 1 rocket, doesn't show 2 rockets, but then there's a different amount of shots for what's verbally or confirmed written to be the same range profile. All rockets used to be all D3, so make it easier. So that might be a little bit of an issue. Now, so far, is that awesome for shooting? No, right? Like I said, we're not really looking at this for a bunch of support on shooting. So like I said, one thing to look about it that we're happy about is it can possibly attach to war bikers. 2, it doesn't actually have a little bit of punching. 5 attacks, hitting on 3 plus, strength 4 minus 1. So it's like a basic little orc biker. And like I said, this rocket launcher doesn't have heavy, but its actual ability, indiscriminate detonations in your shooting phase. When this unit has resolved attacks, select 1 enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Enemy unit now is suppressed until the start of the next command phase. While the unit is suppressed, it's -1 to hit rolls. Now, some people automatically were like, well, custom Booster Blaster does that already. No, it does not. The custom Booster Blaster is specific to the shooting phase. So this is a distinct, different ability. And I'm going to assume because it's mounted and what we've seen from it being support roll, as when it comes out, it should be pointed quite cheap, as in less than a buggy, and maybe equal to or less than a war biker unit, right? Because why would you bring this if you could just get another 3 war bikers? And we already know the knob war biker is going to have a rocket launcher on him from his combi shooter. He spoke on another video where it might be a rocket launcher type weapon, or at least GW alluded to an anti-vehicle type weapon on the knob of the biker units, right, for the new war biker models. So if the point cost of this is too much, near a biker unit cost, then why wouldn't you just pick more? So I'm thinking it's going to be even less than a biker unit, end up being 50 points, hopefully, right? That's what I would really like to see. And in that way, when we're looking at the missions of the next edition, it looks like you're gonna need a lot of little unit activations, right? When me and David and people that I know of have been playing, we're playing Terraform, we're playing missions that you have to actually activate and do stuff in the middle of the table. I think that's what the next edition is really going to look like. And I think something like this that is fast, not super easy to kill, can actually suppress the enemy to give benefits to your other better units, like a 20-man unit of boys, gas leading a mega knob brick, whatever you're going to end up adding this little fast, I can do utility, I can suppress. So the other actually anvil or hammer type units on the field are actually getting more defensive buff stacked to them. This unit doesn't actually have no place in the game, which is what most people were wondering about, right? And they're like, well, I'm going to uh have this trash unit, it can't shoot anything, I can't use it. Nope, it's going to be playing a debuffing the enemy, scoring type game, taking up positions on the field, and not being just absolutely thrown off, the table with some heavy bolters. Setting up a game of Warhammer 40K can be a hassle, but it doesn't have to be. I want to highlight the best battle mat I've ever used, a 40K grid measuring mat with present battle lines for every official deployment zone, including the upcoming additions. Whether you're setting up for Crucible of Battle, Search and Destroy, it can only take a couple of minutes to get everything dialed in and ready to go. For us Orc players, the grid is a total game changer. Each square is an exact 1 inch, so it's super easy to maintain unit coherency with big mobs, maintain aura ranges, or pile-ins. It also helps remove all those finicky measuring movements like checking charges or small within 6 inches movements, because you can simply count the squares and keep the game flowing. On top of that, it makes the game easier with table quarters and positioning for secondaries. I've been using it for months and it genuinely makes the game better, smoother for both players. If you want to upgrade your setup and support the channel, check out the affiliate link in the description. Upgrade your game and support the Great War with lighter, creative 40K grid mats. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!